Doorbell cameras have revealed some of the most shocking events these last few years. We're talking about things that would send shivers down anyone's spine. From suspicious to supernatural activity, doorbell cameras have helped save countless lives. So in this video, we are going to show you doorbell cam captures what no one was supposed to see. The video is going to be amazing, so make sure you stick to the end. The killer clown. Now imagine that you're watching the doorbell camera footage, you catch a creepy man in a clown costume walking towards your house in the middle of the night, standing on the porch and staring directly into the doorbell camera for a long time. That's the story of this one homeowner. The clown kept moving about on the owner's porch, driveway, and yard, and stood in front of the camera with a tilted head, taking creepy to the next level. The whole while it did not knock, ring, or utter a single word. It may seem like it's just a harmless joke carried out by some random guy trying to scare people, but this is where the plot gets even creepier. At the time of the incident, the killer clown phase of 2016 was going on. So it may easily have been a serial killer dressed as a clown knocking on people's doors, looking for its next victim. After lingering for many minutes, the clown finally left the residence due to the lack of response from the family that lived there. But who knows what its real motive was? One thing is clear. It was far beyond creepy, than one to watch out for. The robbers. For this family, the doorbell camera came in handsomely handy, and it seems they installed it just in the nick of time, preventing something terrible from happening. According to the homeowners, there had been break-ins around their neighborhood for the past few months. Scared that the robbers may come for them next, the couple bought a doorbell camera, which had only recently come out. A husband often worked late, leaving the wife and children at home, and this compelled them to get the camera, which detected movement outside and sent a direct ping to the owner's phone. The wife's phone beeped one fateful night, which revealed two hooded men standing outside the door, whispering under their breath. They appeared to be discussing whether they should enter from the back or the front of the house. In an overall frightful scene, the wife quickly dialed 911 and the police arrived just in time to arrest the two figures who had almost broken in. It turns out that they were the ones who had been tormenting the entire neighborhood. Soon afterwards, all of the other homes in the neighborhood also invested in doorbell cameras, because at times it could easily be the difference between life and death. The predator. Next, we have another story about a creep that wouldn't leave this homeowner alone. On a dark, quiet night in Phoenix, Arizona, a doorbell camera recorded a man walking up to the door, looking around and stealing some items from around the door. You would think that this man to be just someone looking for a few rare rocks, but when you see what he was carrying on his belt, you would know that it was no regular thief. He had a hammer and an axe hook to his belt, and if that wasn't enough to kill or seriously maim a person, he had what looked like a sword under his left arm. The man seemed to be either drunk, extremely brave, or no man at all, because he completely ignored a car driving by in his search for any stealable items. This car driver could have seen the shady-looking person crouched over in front of someone's house and called the cops. But the man in the clip didn't care. The homeowner was lucky that they only got to see what happened the next day. If he saw it live and decided to confront a thief, who knows what could have happened to them. The thief indeed was not carrying those weapons for decorations, that's for sure. After collecting enough items to fill his bag, the thief walked off into the night, forever scaring the homeowners and making for a horrifying doorbell camera recording. An early morning surprise. Although this following incident sounds almost sweet, it could have ended in several terrifying scenarios. This report comes from a couple residing in a home with a doorbell camera in Colorado, apparently at 5 a.m. One morning, 3 mountain lions came outside the house and continued to roam about for a few moments. Such creatures are a rare sighting to be present in this specific town. They even came just a few inches close to the camera in the footage, and it can be seen in all of their marvelous glory. Things would have ended badly had any owner left a pet outside for the night or even gone for an early morning stroll. Who knows how badly this tale may have turned out, where these lions went in the end, and who they might have crossed paths with. It's a dangerous world for mountain lions are walking around at 5 a.m. This was a sight no one wanted to see in their doorbell camera. And all I can say for now is to be careful, because you never know what's out there. Before we move on, support us by hitting subscribe and the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. Now let's get back to our topic, a quiet presence. We have quite an encounter that a woman would report in her account. She said that around 2 a.m. one morning, after she returned home with her son. Soon after they'd gone into the house and a sound came from the door. The woman looked at the doorbell camera, and to her horror, a man was standing on her front porch in extreme stillness, looking directly into the camera, and appeared as if he had no ulterior motive but to stand and spectate quietly, only to lurk in the shadows. A woman finally called the police on the non-emergency line, and an officer quickly pulled up to talk to the man. This is where it gets even more weird. A man said that he had no idea of what he was doing there in the middle of the night. And in his mind, he was at work waiting for the slacker ahead of him to finish the job so he could get started. Cult or a bunch of teenagers. This account reminds me of one of those movies like The Purge that give you goosebumps. The owner recalled that one night as she randomly checked the doorbell camera, she saw adult people standing only 10 feet away from her door. Now, what's so creepy about that? Well, the band of people actually stood there for about 20 minutes staring at her house and muttering things to each other. Watching with high alertness, the woman stood there for quite a while observing them and praying that they wouldn't leave. And after 20 long minutes of sheer creepiness, they moved on to the next house and then repeated the same on the way. They also tried to open doors to the cars parked on the road. And they were successful in opening one and stole stuff from inside. They may have been admiring the house, but let's be honest, who really does that in a group of 6 for 20 straight minutes? Unfortunately, in our world, the assumption that these people might have been in a cult would not be too far-fetched. Certainly not a stretch out of reality. But whatever the case, it was definitely creepy and one to write down in the books. The Crawling Man. Next up, we have an odd little number that would be reported by a teacher during the early hours of their day. This homeowner was following her routine one morning when she saw a naked man and the doorbell camera approaching the house. To get a closer look, she moved towards the door ring. And this is where it gets incredibly creepy. The man crawled up the stairs on his 2 hands and knees at breakneck pace. He came towards the door in a crouched position and began to scratch at the door. This is when the woman got really freaked out and yelled who wants a treat to her dog that was sleeping nearby. The dog instantly woke up and upon hearing the scratching on the door began to bark very loudly. This is when the weird spider-like man became alarmed and left the way that he came from. But this time he left on 2 legs rather than on all 4s. Let's just hope that he never goes back there again, because next time the dog may catch him and give him a taste of his own medicine. After hearing this story, it's natural to be creeped out. People do a lot of crazy things on other people's porches in America. At this point, it's almost like a sport. I just wonder what might have happened had the woman not had a camera in place. The creepy stalker. He saw a man dressed in a clown costume with what looked like a knife in his hand, checking to see if any of the doors had been left open by accident. He was seen walking around the property, peeking inside windows and trying to open multiple doors. Imagine if one of those doors swung open. This took place in 2016, which, as you may know, saw peak and mass murders. Although some people were only doing it to scare friends or neighbors, this man was obviously trying to commit a very heinous crime. As you can see in the clip, the night was straight out of a horror movie, and the homeowner will remember it all of its life. I wondered how many of these houses that the man tried to break into. By the looks of it, he never got to break into one. The man with a knife circled the house for quite some time before finally deciding to give up and go off into the distance. And if we can learn anything from this, it's important to double-check your door locks before going to sleep at night. Remember, this killer is still out there who knows what he wanted, but one thing is clear. The doorbell camera comes in handy sooner or later to spot any creepy stuff happening in the shed. The cycling cat thief. So far, the stuff that we've talked about is more or less related to human interaction. But this next one is just a little bit too unsettling and significance of a cause of concern. And as far as video captures go, it's something that no person should have to witness. The reporter of these claims says that one morning when they checked the doorbell camera footage, they saw a peculiar sight that horrified them. At first, a slow-moving dark entity could be seen moving from one house to the next. Then a quick flash came over the camera and the family car started to flash and hump, because if the vehicle itself had witnessed the presence of a suit or natural entity, the entity resembles the shape of the human. So at first the owners assumed it was a person, but the image was too blurry. If it indeed was a human, where were its legs? And how is it hovering in the air like that? To be sure, they asked to check their neighbor's CCTV footage. To their utter horror, the other cameras showed no movement at all to the exact moment the night before. Terrifying, isn't it? Now I don't know about them. But if I lived there, I would want to move houses the next day. There's one occasion that would haunt even the strongest, involving a shadow that looms large at night. As doorbell camera incidents go, this one takes the cake quickly. Let's hope the ghost never comes back again to haunt these poor people. So that's it. Please like, share, and comment your thoughts below if you like this video. Remember to subscribe to see our next video. Stay safe, and we will be back soon with another video.